Okay, so I want to talk about a story,
Okay.
right? And this goes back to that old beat up mount site across the
No.
road, right?
So I didn't know he was going to be here. I would have been emotionally prepared for this conversation.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just let you know what I'm talking about. Why don't you just walk us through what happened in RSP?
Okay. Well, so this is the hard part about this going to be the watching my language because of how much language was used that day. There was a lot of language used that day that
I
was
can't
not
wait.
necessarily. So I was in RSP. It was a day like any other. Just being super high speed RSP kid. God, I'm so cool with my paintball gun, running around. So we run in little columns for people that don't know. So we enter like as a team. So there's a point man. So it's dark. It's completely dark out there. And once they RSP NCOs close the door behind you, this place is pitch black. It's this old, basically rust box. And so I see like a little flash across the point man's goggles or whatever he was wearing to protect his eyes. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm running there. So I'm like, okay, he moved there. Now I'm moving there to get to cover. And I go and I'm running across. And apparently, for anyone I'm sure you've both been there, but like there's a tunnel underneath that and it drops like 10, 15 feet. Felt like 40 feet because it was a long fall. So I'm running across and I just drop straight down. I land directly on both knees. This, of course, is 30 days out from me supposed to go to basic
man.
training. And so I just start saying words that we don't repeat in polite company, and I'm hollering and stuff like that. And then I actually really like this part of the story. It's pretty good that you're here because I don't think you've ever heard me tell the story.
I haven't.
And then this big beast of a E5 Sergeant Cole like comes running in and he jumps down into this hole. And he doesn't take the stairs. He jumps down and lands superhero landing style on both feet in a crouch and is like looking around and the lights are suddenly on and he freaking grabs me and he throws me over his shoulder. I don't know how he got me out, but I know it was just him. So in my mind, he throws me over his shoulder and carries me up this ladder. Luckily, I was probably 140 at the time. I didn't weigh very much, but and he was just like this wall of muscle and pulls me outside. And then everyone's like, comes in and is like trying to help me and stuff like that. And medic comes over and talks to me. But the best thing is just the superhero landing. Symmetrical. Like, it
Oh
was,
my God.
And so, of course, it was 15 years ago now, right? Like something like that.
Yeah.
And so just thinking about it now, I'm like, it's funny how our brains remember things. But just so you know, you were superhero Sergeant Cole that day.
Yeah, I don't remember that side of it. I just remember that I was the like primary instructor at the site, right?
Okay.
So I had Overwatch, and we did. It was supposed to be pitch black in there, but what had gone out to the instructors was you'll pop, the chem sticks, right?
Yeah.
Pop the chem sticks, and any red chem sticks will outline places you probably shouldn't want to stand, right? And we had walked everybody kind of through the building, right? But at the
Okay.
time, back in the day, RSPs had 100 kids in them, right?
Oh, yeah.
They were massive.
I remember.
And,
And some of us were smarter than others. I wasn't one of them.
no,
So
actually, yeah, you were probably one of the highlights in RSP, to be honest with you. But so I'm standing in the middle, and then and I don't know how it got to this point, but I hear a lot of words, right? And it was at the time Sergeant Fisher,
Okay.
right? And he was like, "We got one that fell down the hole," and I'm like, "Why is the hatch open?" And then it was, "We think she broke both kneecaps," and I was like, "Oh, here we go," right? And I'm watching like my rank tick off my shoulder, right?
You can see it in slow motion.
Oh yeah, I could totally see like here comes the end of my career, right? And I bolt in there, and then I'm yelling for who's now a sergeant major as well, Sergeant Major Stace, because he was the medic.
Okay.
And I don't know where he was at through this whole process, but yeah, I don't remember any superhero landing.
no, it
or
was a
anything.
superhero landing for sure.
So, but yeah,
My 19-year-old brain, that's all I remember. Well, and then after that, of course, Stace checking out my knees and stuff like that. And they were just bruised, but man, 30 days out from shipping too. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I'd been running like 5 to 10 miles a day. So I went to walking like 10 to 20 just because I'm a fat kid at heart and I've been a fat kid before. And I had to keep my weight down and I had to stay fit because I didn't want to be behind everybody else in basic training. So I was just trying to stay in really good shape. And so that was my trade-off. But they're just swollen and stuff, luckily.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you were one of the more personally motivated at the time RSP like soldiers that we'd ever accomplished. And then I'm not kidding when RSP was done and you were up and moving around, we're sitting around like doing an AAR and we're like, damn, she's tough as shit. like nothing's broken. Like, yeah, nothing's broken. We're like, oh my God. Welcome back to GI and a Cup of Joe. Once again, I'm here with Annie T.
Just a regular girl, and I'm here with Justin C.
Just a regular guy.
In this podcast, we'd like to take off the rank and get right down to just being a regular person who made a random decision to wear a uniform in the Idaho Army National Guard. All of us come from very different backgrounds, but we do have one common goal: to better our future.
Not just to better our future for ourselves, but for our families and the ones we love. We encourage you to listen to each story and see how regular people with average grades, average attitudes, and common fears about their future find their strength and their ability to be resilient and to be able to accomplish extraordinary things.
Welcome to Season 2. So today we're talking to officially, she's Captain Catherine Smith, but honestly, she's just Kate. So let's go back to high school. Kate, where did you go and what kind of a student were you?
I went to Capitol High School. I was a bit of a nerd, pretty good at like academics and stuff like that. My GPA was pretty good. I did a couple AP classes, but mostly as a softball player. So I played high school softball. A lot of my life kind of just revolved around that. I did do junior ROTC, so that was kind of my first real taste. I started that when I was 14, partially because my dad didn't want me to be in the military. Like, it was like a little bit of a rebellious thing. But I loved that. We did a lot of tutoring of like the younger cadets and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed that piece of it, just kind of making people a family and bringing people in, because a lot of people don't have the same things and the same opportunities. So it was really cool to be a part of that program and kind of see also how the military kind of went. And that started me towards this. But once I finished high school, I knew that that's kind of how it took me on the journey towards the Army. But I did a junior college out in Treasure Valley, and from there wasn't doing anything military wise, wasn't doing much at all really. And I was playing softball for the team there. And
for the college?
For the college.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, junior college. But I was playing softball out there, and I wanted to do something else. But the big thing was, to be honest with you, I didn't have money for school. So I was going to school full-time, working full-time, and playing softball 3-4 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
Or
Busy life.
weightlifting and stuff like that. So like, it was just a little too much. And I had that background from high school of knowing that you can have people around you. You can have people help you. You don't have to do it all alone. And so I joined the Guard, and that really, really helped me out. So really my high school and then into my junior college career just catapulted me this direction. And it was really just a really cool journey that I went on. And I did the college first. I got a $20,000 bonus student loan repayment, and I used it, and it really just changed the trajectory of my life. So yeah, that's kind of how me and my earlier years was. But
so back in high school though, what was your favorite subject? Did you enjoy JROTC?
I did enjoy JROTC. I spent a lot of time doing that. I was really good in math and really good in English and all that kind of stuff. But JROTC was just something different, because you just get so used to being in the books. Like,
Sure.
You're going through elementary, junior high, high school. The thing about ROTC is it just gave you, it was like more, not career driven, but it was like more service driven.
Sure.
I think is where ROTC is. You do service projects and stuff. You go help out with the VA. So I think they had the Veterans Olympics is one of the things that we did.
Yeah.
So we'd go out and we'd meet folks, and I actually ended up meeting Ed Freeman. And
oh, no way.
Yeah, I met Ed Freeman
Really?
back in the day. And what's crazy is I didn't know who he was, right? I had no idea. And obviously I never thought I'd end up being a dust-off pilot, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
in the end, like, I look back, I have a picture of my friend with him, and she and I hung out with him for a really long time. But while we were out there, we had a meal or something like that. And it's funny to think in retrospect that I was young. I didn't know a lot. I didn't know a lot of people. But that program gave me the opportunity to meet just incredible human beings. And
That's awesome.
yeah, we did Rake Up Boise, all kinds of stuff that just gives back to the community. And I hadn't really had that. I hadn't really had different service organizations. I didn't do Girl Scouts or any of those kind of organizations. So ROTC was like my first taste of that. And I think that was a big part of why I ended up where I ended up now.
So I hear you're also a writer. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Are you a published author?
No? I'll wait till I'm out of the Army so that
Okay.
my friends in the Army don't make fun of me for it, or they're making fun of me and I'm just over here with my money. But no, I probably write an hour or two almost every night. I really like when I tell people that I write because they're like, "What do you write? Like, hey, are you
Right.
journaling? Are you when I say really
you say
mean
about
things
me?
to you? Like, are you like, no, I'm not writing about you. You're weird." But no, it's something that just kind of is my way of getting stuff out. So while it's not journaling or anything like that, I thinking about scenarios and putting that stuff out there, and it helps a lot of times. A lot of people that get into writing and stuff, it's just an emotional outlet too. So
Sure.
like a lot of people work out, a lot of people do different things, but I can play out scenarios, things that are happening in my life without it actually being connected to reality. It might be fantasy, it might be sci-fi, completely disconnected, but still allows me to get that expression out there. So it's like the only artistic thing I do though. So like everything else.
Like painting, drawing. Don't talk to you about that.
No, man, like I have like zero art. I can't say zero artistic bones in my body because I guess writing's down that vein, but I'm not good at much else. So
Did you learn to write in high school? Like learn to love
I
to write?
I started in high school. Yeah. I mean, I think I really started in junior high. But I picked up in high school and my computer's just full of stories and stuff like that. So I
That's
think
so cool.
once I retire, after 36 years, I think
of course,
probably,
yes.
I'll just have a lot of material just to work on. But, what I really like about it is in life, every like 5-10 years, things change. Like you change and how you are changes. And when you're writing something, it's funny, I'll go back to write something that I initially wrote 5 years ago and I'll just tear it up. It'll be completely different. I've changed as a human being, and as that like changes, that story develops, and it's a story on a computer that develops, but your life does the same thing. So like you get hit with this or this happens or you have a different opportunity come up and you take that route. And so I just think the writing kind of mirrors life in that way, is that things are just changing, changeable, and it's good to have a plan and stuff like that, but man, it can change like nothing. So
Kind of following you through this process, and I know that you did ROTC, and you kind of banked probably the best time in the last 20 years to join the military was right when you joined,
Man.
right? Bonuses, college first, like they were just writing checks for absolutely everything, right? So all of that aside, what was the one thing that was like, I'm going the Idaho Army National Guard?
it's it's the community, it's the family. So I talked about that with JRTC and the service and stuff like that. But this is where I'm from. These are my people, and throughout my career, so before I joined, I saw guardsmen out there doing stuff and helping people. Like during COVID, they were making meals and stuff like that, and delivering them to people, and making sure that people were taken care of. And then, I'm in now, and we do search and rescue. We save people. We actually actively go out there and save people. And we've done the fires to save Idaho citizens in their homes. So for me, the Idaho Guard was really the only option. Active duty is great. It's a good way to go. It's cool, but you do get disconnected from community. You don't have the same kind of community, both within the organization, the family that you have. Like, I've known you both for 15 years. Like, we've known each other forever. And that's so crazy because, like, we've only worked together for, like, a few months here, a few months there. But that's what I wanted. I wanted to stay in an organization where I'd have to have people around me forever. Like, no matter what happens, I can pick up a phone and call somebody because I have something go wrong or I need some help with something. So that's why for me it had to be the Idaho Guard. I love the state, and I love the people that I work with and live with, and I want to give back to my community specifically.
Out of all the things that you've accomplished, what has been your best, like the most important accomplishment?
For me, I think I don't know I don't know. There's so many different things that we've done personally, professionally, right? So I don't know that there's one main thing that I've done that's beyond becoming a pilot, honestly. So I thought there's like a bunch of different things I could do, personal life, professional life, but becoming a pilot allowed me to do that. What we talked about giving back to the community is becoming a pilot in the Guard was something that I never would have thought about before. Like, I wouldn't have considered it. I was medical. I had no connection to aviation at all. Like, we'd have a helicopter show up at medic training, and they'd land, and we'd load a patient in, and those 4 litter bearers are supposed to get in and sit in the back wall and go for a cool flight. I'd walk away. I wouldn't even get on the helicopter. But it's crazy how life will just, like, I worked for a pilot. It was great. He was awesome. And I'm like, you know what? He's not that smart. I could do that. Like, I could get there. And it's just because of how much time it took. OCS it shows you things about yourself, becoming an officer and working with people and being in a leadership role. It shows you who you are, and then you just keep doing that. Every time you do something difficult, every time you take on a challenge that's hard, and it's so long ago, I almost don't remember it. That's mostly a joke. But when I went to basic training, that was an experience like that for me as well. But becoming a pilot was one of the hardest things I've done, and I feel like when you do the hardest things, that's when you those are the things in life that matter the most. So getting through officer school and then flight school, but being able to give back to the community after that is probably my biggest accomplishment.
That's awesome.
And you didn't see the pilot path when you were in high school, correct?
Not a little. So when I do I do a lot of tours out here for kids and stuff like that, from high schools, from junior highs, elementary schools. And one of the things I ask the group, I'm like, hey, who here can explain to me how a car engine runs? And I'll get a couple hands and I'll be like, all right, what if I'm not going to actually ask you in front of the entire group to do it and you don't want to be embarrassed? You'll see even more hands, right? These kids are smart out there. They even as young as 5th grade, like we do a lot of 5th grade tours, I'll still get a hand up or two. And they're super incredibly smart. And some of us are just good at certain things, right? Like just good at engine mechanical stuff. And I'm like, perfect. I am over 30 years old. I cannot explain to you how a car engine runs, but I can sure as heck show you talk to you about how a helicopter engine runs, because the Army will show you from zero to all the way through the process how something works or how something is. And that's why I'm so passionate about the Guard. Like, you can stumble into a job like this, like helicopter. Like, I thought I had no mechanical acumen at all. I thought mechanical things like in helicopters, planes, no interest, because I had shut that door. I had closed that door on myself. Like, I'll never be able to do that because I'm not inclined that way. And it was just a matter of I'd never had anyone show me. So I still can't tell you how a car runs, but ask me about a helicopter. So I think that was the big thing. And when I was in high school, I never would have thought about flying because that door was closed. I closed it on myself.
So what was your path in high school? What did you want to do?
So in high school, like, I was doing athletic training. I missed a lot of stuff. I was doing athletic training, which was a really cool program. For anyone who hasn't heard about it, basically you are like the sports medicine person. You wrap ankles, you treat people when they get hurt. And that was really cool. So I really liked the idea of going into medicine. So that is why I ended up joining as a medic in 2009. So I thought what I would do is I'd be a physical therapist or a physician assistant, and that once I did that, I'd be able to, same vibe, service, give back to people, and I thought that was where I was going. I loved athletic training. I loved treating people. And that was where I was going. And
through that,
strangely enough, that's not where it was. So, like I said, I joined as a medic. And so I was a medic. I loved it. I loved the trauma side of it. I really enjoyed it. And then a lot of junior medics will tell you, like, medical side, your mind will explode. It wasn't that my mind exploded, but luckily, I was very lucky to have really great NCOs, and I was selected to go on a mission to Cambodia in 2012. And that mission was super eye-opening. That's one thing about the military, going different places. Like, a lot of people think if you join the Idaho Guard, you're not going to go anywhere. Right. Like, you're joining the Guard, so you're stuck there, right? But we do other stuff in other countries, too. So we had a state partnership with Cambodia, and as a medical unit, we went and we did a humanitarian mission there. Incredibly rewarding. We did 3 days in one location in southern Cambodia, and then we went a little bit over and did 3 more days, and it was just weird, crazy to see how people lived. You know, we'd ask like some of the basic questions that we'd ask is, how much food do you eat in a day? And they wouldn't be holding out their whole hand. They'd be like showing just the fingers of their palm curled of rice. That's how much an older person or a child would get to eat in one day. Wow. And so that was really eye-opening as far as how other people lived. And so you'd think that rewarding experience would kind of give me like more, man, I double down. Let's do it. I'm going to be a PA. I'm going to do medical stuff. And I want to do this one day. They even had an eye surgeon there, like actually removing lenses and putting new lenses on in a dirty classroom in a third world country. It was incredible. So that should have like more energized me about medicine. And it turns out I absolutely hated clinical medicine. These people needed us, and these people needed help, even if it was just vitamins, but we had like a baby with a congenital heart issue. It was heartbreaking. Like, we saw some things and saw some people that really needed us. But what I actually found out at the end of the day is I am not into clinical medicine in any kind of way. I just did not enjoy patient care. And so what could have happened if I hadn't joined the military and done that mission is I could have gone down an entire path. Because sometimes you don't know what you want when you're 17, 18. You think you do, but you don't. I was so energized about being a PA, but if I hadn't joined the military, done this mission, I'd gone through all the way through school because I'm kind of type A. I'd have finished. Right. And I'd be a PA right now, and I would be flipping miserable. And that's kind of scary to think about, but like I said, I had good NCOs grab me for that mission, and I was very lucky. And so I kind of just switched to more of an admin vibe. I worked I got a full-time job at Gowan doing like patient administration type stuff, and I was able to do that for medic for a little while, and then took an opportunity somewhere else, and that job is where I was able to end up working for a pilot, and that's where I ended up where I am now. So.
And you love what you do now.
Oh, I love it.
That's incredible.
It's so much fun. Like I can't even explain. Flying a helicopter is just it's a weird experience because it doesn't want to fly. So like but you go through all this school and you do all this stuff, and then now it's like you're just going out to fly with your friends. You're learning the helicopter. You're still building your skills. Doesn't matter how long you're a pilot. Like, you're continuously learning and doing more things, new things. And like I said, we get to give back, and the fact that we actually get to do real missions in our own state is beyond. Like, it's exactly what I wanted, but I never thought it would be in this way. I never thought it'd be as a
I love
pilot.
that part of your story so much about how she thought she wanted to be something, and she got a taste of it through the military and decided, no, not for me, but then found out that she wanted.
Yeah, I keyed in on the, like, you don't know what you want when you're 17 or 18, right? So let's go back to when you're 17 or 18, and you didn't know what you want. You're staring opportunities in the face. If you could take a 17 or 18-year-old and say something to them, moving them forward about this choice that you made, what would you tell? What advice would you give somebody who didn't know what they wanted to do with their future?
So like I said, I do a lot of tours and I actually talk to kids a lot. And the biggest thing I like to tell them is, like I mentioned, closing doors in your face. Don't close doors in your face. You don't know. You don't know yet. Like, your brain's still developing. You're trying to figure it out. But the big thing is you're going to get so many forks in the road, so many of them. And you got to take the one that makes the most sense for you, and you got to think about stuff, but don't agonize. Like, I'm not saying fly by the seat of your pants, but like, just be decisive. And like, if this is something you think you want to do, you can do it for 4 years. You can do it for 6 years. Like, you can try it out, do M-Day Guard, like do it 1 weekend a month. A lot of people I talk to about being in the Guard, and they're like, what's it like? What if you're like a traditional guy? I'm like, well, if you're traditional, it's even better because you do something different on the full-time side and the M-Day side. So a lot of people are like, doing their life, living their life, hanging out, and then they get to go every weekend, once a month, every month they get to go back and just hang out with their friends and do cool stuff. And it's 2 days out of your month, and in the summer you do a couple weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and you just get a chance to hang out with your friends. And I promise, if you join the Guard, you're going to make friends. It's almost impossible not to, because a lot of people, we're all kind of weird. Like, I had a colonel once that was very, very, it was like hot topic word for him. He hated the word weird, but like we're all kind of weird. We're all kind of a nerd, but you got to figure out what kind of nerd you are first. And joining the Guard gives you the time and space to think about what kind of nerd you are, and then you can run down that road as fast as you want. So
I like that. We're all nerds.
Yeah.
She's not wrong.
Yeah, that should be a hashtag. We're all nerds. So we got one final question that we do here on the podcast, and this is probably the most important one. Now,
And a nerd one.
I'll probably get it wrong.
no, I doubt it. So, but it's good, right? So you're a pilot. Mm-hmm. You've seen aviation maps, right? Have you seen any aviation maps?
I'm also a commission guy, so like, what's a map? Just kidding.
Oh, yeah. It's a joke. Good joke. Turn it over on the back. We've got a copy one, and we'll definitely have to post a picture of that, right,
We
for the
will, for
podcast.
sure.
But you turn it over on the back, and it was an Air Force map of an overlay over Washington. And in the key, they have a picture of Sasquatch migration grounds.
Nice. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Have you heard of that?
I have not, no.
Okay. So our question is Sasquatch real?
Yes, actually, yeah.
Yeah?
So here's the thing. When we're doing training flights, Sergeant First Class Jared Gilstad's my NCOIC. He's probably he most commonly is the guy on the hook out there. He actually calls himself a Sasquatch lure. So we're out there looking. So if it's Idaho, right? So we're not talking Washington, but like if anybody wants to talk to us and debate with us, like we're out there actively looking. So that's, if you want more intel, like let Golf 168 know, and we'll try and get you some more information on it. But that's... Yeah, hoist riders that ride the hook are Sasquatch lures. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Lures or bait?
Bait.
I mean, depends on the hoist rider.
Right.
Okay, we stepped on the Star Major's grass just a little bit today. We just need to explain a couple things. We referenced RSP.
Recruit Sustainment Program. So that's where you go before you go to basic training. It's designed to make you physically and administratively correct before you step on the plane to go to basic combat training.
Yes. And then one of you referenced an AAR.
I think it was me.
Okay.
After action review, after action report. It's
Just an overview of what happened.
Like, hey, how did training go? What can we do better? What do we want to...
Not fall in a hole.
Yeah. That was
And
literally
then-
written on the board.
Yeah. I believe that. NCO obviously is non-commissioned officer, which we talked about before, and we did talk about the OCS program, but do you want to explain that again?
Officer Candidate School, you can join straight into the Officer Candidate School program if you have the education already. Basically, the state program is here in Idaho, so you do the 1 week in a month, and then you also do like longer versions of annual trainings, and they basically take you from being enlisted to being an officer. So you can be 10 years prior service, or you can be just a highly educated young human, and they basically just, you go to basic training and then you do OCS, and they teach you how to be an officer, so a lieutenant.
Very cool. M-Day? You want to hit
That
on
might have been
M-Day?
me.
Yeah, I think it was
Traditional
you, yeah.
guardsman. So it's what people think of when they think of us. So it's a traditional guardsman. So the 1 week in a month, 2 months in the year, 2 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
Sometimes. No,
all
I'm
right.
kidding. Feels like it. No, so 2 weeks in a year. So it's somebody that comes in like a traditional, normal guardsman.
Okay. And then lastly, you referenced Golf 168.
Okay, I am the commander of Golf 168. That's our medevac unit. So our main things we do, our mission essential tasks, are medical evacuation, so dust off. So if anyone's into that kind of stuff, again, reach out to me. But it's people that go in and clear the battlefield of wounded. So we get people out, so get them back to care. So mainly it's patient care and clearing the battlefield of wounded. And then we also do the SAR program, like I mentioned, search and rescue.
Very cool.
Almost got another acronym. My bad. Search and rescue program.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We'd like to thank our guests and our production crew for their time.
Join us every Wednesday here on GI and a Cup of Joe. See you next week.